These universal rock backdrops are hugely popular for aquariums. When installed correctly, they really change the look of a standard household aquarium into looking a lot more like what you would describe to be an exhibit. And particularly with these really bulky ones, a lot of people are concerned about the amount of detritus and anoxic zones, dead spots or whatever, and sediment that will form in the back of the backgrounds. Now these flat ones are very easy because you can easily just put a silicone bead all the way around, and you can easily ensure that sediment and waste doesn't build up in the back of the backgrounds. The much more chunkier ones, it's just not so possible to do that. So people are concerned about the amount of waste that goes in the back of them. Now the first question I want to ask everyone is, have you actually ever had a problem with that? So a little bit of waste does build up in the back of these things, and a bit of sediment does build up in the back, but the bacteria ends up creating zones. So sure, you do form a little bit of denitrifying bacteria or anoxic bacteria, but when they're in zones and they're not actually disturbed, I don't really have a problem with it. So if you have had a problem with waste building up in the back of these, just let me know, because that would be quite interesting, because I just can't actually remember a time when it has. But the question for this video is really, what can you do about it if you are worried about it? So a couple of things you can do about it is if you can get circulation behind the back, because let's say you drop an air stone down the back, so there's air and the whole back is moving, because the fear is basically the water in the back becomes stagnant. The water in the back stagnates, and then the oxygen level falls, and then instead of forming good nitrifying bacteria, you're forming denitrifying bacteria, which isn't really a problem either. But then if it falls further, you can form anoxic bacteria. Anoxic bacteria can discharge hydrogen sulfide, which is a concern. So what can you do? Things you can do is you can make attempts to clean it. If you put airline through the back, you can siphon detritus out. The really chunky ones, you could even use a hose to siphon detritus out. If that was done on a semi-regular basis, then that would likely be fine. If you can get aeration in the back, whether that be a pump that angles down the back, whether that be an air stone that angles down the back, if you can keep oxygen in that back area and you don't create a pocket which is going to lower the oxygen level, then you also are going to eradicate that problem.